What do you mean? Evidence is everything. That remains true here, just as in the courtroom. Isn't that right? I have evidence here. Horace Knightley's autopsy report. Autopsy report? Since when? Why are you surprised? This was delivered straight from the police a short while ago. Yeah, I mean, I would have wanted to see that way earlier, before saying a dog killed him. It's not complete yet, more of a preliminary report. Here, the very word of the goddess of law is written. Cause of death, stab wound to the neck, died instantly. Murder weapon, sharp metal object. The victim was stabbed multiple times in the same spot with a sharp object, although they were unable to determine the actual shape of the murder weapon. They have clear proof that it was a sharp metal object. So do you still stand by your claim? No. That a dog used a sharp object to kill the victim? This can't be! That is all. The court is adjourned. But wait, the tunnel contains the dog's footprints. Perhaps it may have been one of Anubis's walking courses. Shut up. I can never tell what Anubis gets up to outside my cell. Sometimes something feels unnatural about all this, but I have no evidence. Courtney Pie, you sure pulled out a hidden gem at the very last moment. She waited for the perfect time to reveal the autopsy report. Have I let her out with me again? Appointed Attorney Shields. Here's the autopsy report from earlier. I apologize for the delay. No, it's alright. Thank you. Autopsy report jotted down. Died instantly. I gladly accept it. Mr. Shields, I don't believe it's necessary to hold hands while exchanging documents. Please let go. I'd advise you to stop. Huh? Persist any longer and I shall call on the strength of the goddess of the law. Oh, be careful. Sorry about that, sweetie. Justine, well done. Just as I planned. I only acted in accordance to your instructions. Stop. The autopsy report came straight from the police. I can't refute it. However, if the murder weapon wasn't the dog, Dogen will be cleared of suspicion. I don't know if that... Just because it's a different murder weapon, I don't think really just says, oh, of course, he's not the murderer. The merciful goddess of law so decrees. If you choose to yield now, your badge will not be taken. What will you do, sir? She says that, but... My answer remains the same. Judge Courtney, it is as I said before. I will see my job through. I will not yield to threats. So you still refuse to give up? If you want to keep your badge, this may be your last chance. Right now, I am a defense attorney's assistant. What I protect is not my badge, but my client. The goddess of law grows weary of your sentiment. Now we're talking. Miles is starting to understand that the defense attorney never gives up. Actually, those were the words of your old man. My father. It really is in your blood. You're the spitting image of him right now. You said it yourself. You've changed since you were tainted by Von Karma. It's only now that I've actually come to believe it. Mr. Shields. That's enough. Well then, Miles. Now's the time to put those skills to the test. Think beyond your limit. If the murder weapon was a sharp object, does that really negate your reasoning? The murder weapon was a sharp object. That's it. There are 5 chisels placed inside this special cell. Exactly. Game over. Dogen's a former assassin. It's quite possible you could kill someone with just a chisel. It's very easy. In that case, the weapon that killed Horace Knightley was. Is that all? Well, then I suppose I should be giving... Evidence is everything, didn't you say? The murder weapon was a sharp metal object. However, such a weapon has yet to be found. What? So, what are you trying to say? The only decisive evidence is the actual murder weapon itself. And that was in plain sight this whole time. The real murder weapon is Dogen's chisel. What did you say? Take responsibility for your own statements. The scene of the crime was Mr. Knightley's cell. You said so yourself. If the evidence changes, then so will my logic. That too is the courtroom procedure, is it not? If the chisel was used, that means the killer was human. However, the fact remains that we cannot deny the security photo. Yeah, what about that photo? I'll give you the answer. This photo shows the moment the dog leapt at the victim. Dogen's dog leapt at Knightley. However, the victim did not die at that time. Didn't die? He was only knocked unconscious. The dog didn't move a dead body. It moved the unconscious Knightley. And the real killer was its owner. I see. If the victim was moved, it would have been possible for Dogen to commit the murder. And use the murder weapon. Indeed, the killer is Shirhan Dogen. It can only be you, Sirhan. I bet your teacher used to write on your report card, needs to pay more attention on what others say. I would think that describes you more. Projection. We examine that room. Every nook, crook, and cranny. Right, Justine? Granny. We examined all 4 of Dogen's chisels. There's 5. And found no traces of blood. Thank you, Judge Courtney. Thanks to you, I'm not certain. Thanks to me? Whatever do you mean? When I came here earlier, I saw 5 chisels. Exactly. Get fucked. That's right. There were definitely 5 here before. I actually thought I was like actually losing it for a second because I saw there, I'm like, wait, there's only 4 there. Oh god, oh god. But I definitely remembered 5. So the one that disappeared was the smallest one, presumably for portable use. Oh, and that goes with the fucking hiding it inside of that chessboard. Dogen, where is that chisel? I don't know. I'm not free to leave this place. I have no need of a portable chisel. Not free to leave. In that case, you mustn't have been free to hide the deadly chisel either. Dogen, you just dug your own grave. It seems you know something. Would you care to show it? Dogen couldn't leave, so the place he hid the chisel is in here. Dogen's a prisoner, so he can't leave his cell freely. Perhaps he could have sent his dog to dispose of it, but he would not have been able to confirm the weapon's location. So what does that leave? Above all else, special metal tools are allowed in the cell. Even if one chisel were to appear here, no one would suspect a thing. You'd be a fool not to take advantage of that. I see. Of course. It's always safest if you do something yourself. But I examined everything. I didn't find any hiding places in his cell. I'm certain that the murder weapon is here. The reason you haven't found it is because it was clearly hidden. Cleverly hidden. You say I hid it? Where exactly? Think. Where could he have hidden it? It's probably like that thing isn't a solid chessboard. It probably has like an underneath to it. I have to remember everything up to this point. There must be some clue. Does this mean that what I think it means? Let's get going, Mr. Edgeworth. Come to think of it, that dog hasn't barked at me once today. It's just been holding it in its mouth. Previously, when I came to this special cell, it barked on Dogen's command. That's it. That's what's been out of place. There's just one place he could have hidden the murder weapon. Giving up already. How dull. How dull. I will present evidence. This piece of evidence shows where you concealed the murder weapon. Just the dog, right? Hasn't your dog been awfully quiet today? Now that you mention it, it hasn't barked at all. Before it was... Sir Dogen, open that dog's mouth now. Anubis doesn't bark needlessly. I ordered him to do that before. In that case, order it to bark now. Naturally, you should be able to, if you have nothing to hide. It was inevitable. Anubis, show them your mouth. Well. As you can see, a dog of this size can easily conceal small chiselments. What? Why a chisel? That dog really had one in its mouth. I thought he was unusually quiet. Was he unable to follow the discussion? Sebastian, could you call the forensic department? Urgently, please. Oh, I got it. A reaction. This chisel tests positive for blood. What? I guess that proves my theory. Wasn't just nonsense. Would this chisel be the murder weapon then? Reacted positively for blood. There's no doubt about that. Yo, how you feeling over there, chick? Mr. Sirhan Dogen, now that the murder weapon has been found, I must ask you for your testimony. We know how your dog got to the detention center, and we found the murder weapon. Do you still think you can talk your way out of this? Interesting. This guy. Even at a time like this, he's still smiling. Well, Anubis, it seems everyone has become suspicious of you. It's quite troubling, but since it's come to this, we have no choice but to tell the truth. I did not kill anyone. I've long since grown weary of killing. What's this? His face looks completely composed. Seems we'll need to listen to Mr. Dogen's explanation. If you will, please promptly give your testimony. Huh. Certainly. First of all, I would like you to explain my motive. What? I do not know anyone by the name of Knightley. We share no connection. So, I wouldn't think of some motive for murder would just appear out of nowhere. Or are you insinuating my Anubis had a motive? He only bears his fangs at others on my command. I do not hunger for blood as much as to kill a man I do not even know. Coming from an assassin sure is persuasive. An assassin who only kills acquaintances. I doubt that would be profitable. I may kill strangers in my line of work, but I never make it personal. Is there evidence that shows a connection between Knightley and Dogen? Yes. I should thoroughly review the evidence once more. Here you go. You've lost your touch, Sarah and Dogen. If you had your dog clean up after you, you should have disposed of this too. This is a record of a correspondence chess game found in the victim's cell. This record and the chessboard in your cell. Both clearly depict the same game. What? I've heard that the number of possible chess positions is around 10 to the 120th power. 10 times 10, 120 times. 100,000. Is that even a real number? Not really. Indeed. There's absolutely no way these two could have coincided by chance. I mean, to be fair, it depends how it depends about how many total moves were made during the game. And even then, it's actually technically not 10 times 10 to the 120th power, because that's if there was a full log of each move on both sides. If that existed, then it would be 10 times 10 to the 120th power, because it has to be in that exact order. But this doesn't have to. It just has to end up in this way. So there's countless of different ways that each player could have moved differently, but still resulted in that exact position. So to be fair, it's not actually that high. But it's still like less than like 0.00001% probably. It's not a very common way to end up in a moveset. I don't believe, yeah. Having a bishop there right next to your king, 3 pawns in a row like that, rooks on those exact spots, having 2 as white, not moving up the h7 pawn up one. So I would argue that would make it extremely unlikely because it's not a common position. Really his bishop should go to h3, but wherever it started at, because then you can get both rooks on one and just pick one off. It would be ideal, but whatever. What do I know? I don't know chess. Tell us your reason for killing Knightley. Unless you intend to explain it, this is a coincidence. Well, don't they say that the truth is stranger than fiction? It is as you say, this is merely a coincidence. But there's no way that could have happened. My correspondent's chess opponent was the victim in this incident. What a horrible coincidence. Aren't you shocked too, Anubis? Anubis, my boy. The animal show or something. That was when everyone left. Anubis brought the body to my cell. He had already been stabbed in the neck with a murder weapon. I did not wish to be suspected, so I had Anubis carry the body to the workroom. After that, he pulled out the murder weapon and returned it to me. So you're saying the one who pulled the weapon out was Anubis? That's right. If I pulled out the murder weapon here, the blood would have been a problem. Mr. Edgeworth, isn't this what that sod guy said? A large black dog was biting into the neck of the victim. Ah, makes sense. It's coming together. What did you say? It was truly a hellish sight to see. That dog killed him. I see. So that means saw it, witnessed the moment the murder weapon was pulled out. Oh yes, that prisoner's testimony. It surprised me when I first heard it. It's not often that Anubis makes a blunder like that. Right, boy. Now, I believe that explains my actions. I did not kill him, all I did was remove the murder weapon. Now, will that be all? Anubis is getting tired.
Objection!
Oh, God. Whoa there, just a moment, Mr. Dogan. Mr. Shields? Isn't there one thing you haven't explained? Why would you need to pull out the murder weapon in the first place? That's right. I understand why he'd move the body to draw suspicion away from him. The reason why he'd remove it is because it's a chisel, and he has a bunch of chisels, right? And that's going to be his reasoning. I think that's a pretty obvious question he's asking. But he didn't need to retrieve the murder weapon. I thought him just a fool. But how quickly his scent has changed. Care to elaborate, Mr. Dogan? It was because of this bell. Or that, I guess. The bell attached to the murder weapon. And the bell on my dog's neck. They share a distinctive shape, wouldn't you say? The assassin Sirendogan's trademark. An assassin's trademark? The blind assassin, Sirendogan. He always appears at the sound of a bell. The sound of a bell ringing in the dark of night is said to be the last thing his target hears. Spooky. You remember well. It has been a while since you last saw my bells, after all. When I prosecuted in court, I confiscated a knife with a bell attached to it. Yes, my bells. There are only 2 in the world. Only 2. They're custom-made, attached to my knife in Anubis's collar. Even though I can only rely on my ears, I can easily identify them. Alas! One has been confiscated and is not in my possession. Until now. When Anubis brought the body here, I heard a familiar sound. I thought my knife must have been embedded in the body. So imagine my confusion when I found out that it was merely a chisel with my bell attached. Indeed, your knife is nothing like this chisel. Either way, those bells are my trademark. Moreover, I am the only one in the prison who uses chisels. With all this, I knew I would be falsely suspected. So I removed the murder weapon and hid it. So you're claiming that you only moved the body? Didn't I tell you? The chisel isn't mine. If you think I'm lying, go ahead and check for my fingerprints. Sebastian? Eh? Me? But how do I check for... Forensics. Yes, ma'am! Reaction! We have fingerprints. They're Knightley's, Justine. What about Dogan's? Nope. Just Knightley's. And there's no evidence of prints being wiped either. It was in a dog's mouth. Only Knightley's fingerprints. Can't be. Should we re-examine it? See now, I never even touched that chisel. Because I ordered Anubis to hide it in his mouth. In other words, the fingerprints belong to the chisel's original owner. Fingerprints on the bell. The murder weapon's owner was the victim. This is perplexing. At any rate, I did not touch the murder weapon. In other words, the killer could not have been me. Isn't that right? I have nothing to refute that. How could this? Is he really not the killer? Could Dogen's testimony actually be true? This can't be. It seems this is sufficient enough not to warrant any further explanation. As it stands, you have not changed the state of this case. I believe this is more than enough reason for us to relieve you of your badge. What? No, it proves. What's-his-face didn't do it. His prints aren't on it. Saving the needless fuss, I suggest you hand over your badge now. It's bad, sir. They sound serious. It's regrettable, but with those prints as decisive as evidence, I'll have to rethink my logic from step one. But there's still so many unexplained things. Why would Mr. Knightley be carrying a chisel? It could be used for many things, perhaps even a prison escape. Well then, how did he carry it into the prison? I mean, the prisoners aren't even allowed cutlery. Right, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean, that's not true. Because in this tunnel, you can see cutlery. You can see spoons and forks. Cutlery is in, like, spoon, fork, knife, not just knives. Mr. Edgeworth! Even if your reasoning is off at first, you shouldn't let that confuse you. The most important thing is to arrive at the truth. Isn't that right? Doesn't matter how you get there. The end result is to save Simon. We have to do everything we can for his sake. Well said, Kay. Thanks, Kay. You're a sweetie. Nice one, Kay. I really want to scout you for the law firm now. Remember when Uncle Ray said a defense attorney never gives up? Miles, do you understand the true meaning behind those words? True meaning. Those words. Defense attorneys carry the fate of their client on their shoulders. You're the only person your client can rely on. Just like with Mr. Keys. You're the only one who can save him now. We're linked by fate to our clients. That is why we must never give up. There's no way Uncle Ray can go against the teachings of Gregory. So, what will you do?